Gunshots, gunshots, gunshots. Y'all, this video right here is about how Lil Durk wound up in the hands of the feds and how it played out. I caught this video at Blackie Speaks. Check them out. I think this joint is official. It's real informative. Y'all put it in the comments if they're official or not as far as with their commentation. I'm going to check it out, give my opinion on it. If you subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Cash App is on the screen. Make sure you hit the icon that say it was created in 2020. All right? All right, you know what it is. We talking about Lil Durk right now. We're going to bring it in. We're going to let y'all see what time it is, all right? So we're going to play this joint. I'm going to hit y'all with a couple of different scenes. Let's get this thing moving, all right?
Chicago rapper Lil Durk is in police custody this morning.
And he was allegedly involved in a murder-for-hire plot.
Lil Durk just got hit with one of the most intense charges of his career. We're not talking about a simple arrest here. This is about murder for hire and is tied directly to the murder of his close friend King Von. This isn't just another headline. It's a story of revenge, loyalty, and an alleged plot that reaches from Chicago to Los Angeles.
You heard that? Revenge and loyalty. The way it works on the street, so y'all understand before you make the choice to go on the street. The way it works is you sit there, and if you got a comrade and something happened, you slide for him. Even if that means you losing your life or you getting life in prison, you don't let that go unanswered. And that's why I'm telling you that it's not worth it. Listen to this, pay attention. You don't want to wind up in this situation for all you up-and-coming rappers, up-and-coming civilians that want to be rappers, that want to be gangsters. I'm telling you, it's not worth it.
Let's break down the details of how Durk's past might have finally caught up with him and what this could mean for his future. The other day, Lil Durk was arrested in Florida on charges linked to a murder for hire plot, a serious accusation that's bringing a whole new level of attention to his life and career. According to federal prosecutors, Durk and 5 others tied to his Only the Family, OTF collective, were part of a plan to take revenge against Quando Rondo's camp for the murder of King Von, Durk's close friend and collaborator, back in November 2020. Authorities allege that this entire plot began when members of OTF wanted to seek retaliation for Von's death. The story of revenge didn't just stay in Chicago though. Prosecutors claimed that in August 2022, members from Lil Durk's crew traveled to Los Angeles on the behalf of Durk himself, and they had one goal in mind: to go to LA and take out Quando Rondo. However, this act of violence instead led to the death of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pab.
Let's say rest in peace to Lil Pap, man. Let's say rest in peace to our fallen soldiers in this street war that we created, man. Let's try and clean this up.
As a group allegedly carried out what they saw as retribution for Von's murder. On August 19, 2022, Quando Rondo and his cousin Lil Pab were in Los Angeles, making their way through the city, reportedly attending some business-related matters and spending time with close associates. Quando, known for his connections and tense history with Lil Durk's camp due to the tragic conflict that surrounded King Von's death, was cautious yet calm as they navigated through the city that day. By the time the sun started setting, they pulled into a gas station near the Beverly Center, just a quick stop to refuel before moving on. Unbeknownst to them, another vehicle had been tracking their movements, strategically following them through Los Angeles.
You see, this is what it's about, man. You on the street, right? Let's ride. You on the street and you moving in traffic, you must play all 3 mirrors. Your side mirrors and your rear mirror. You understand? You must watch everything. You got to watch as many cars that's behind you as possible to see if you see the same headlights, the same grill, you know what I mean? Anything distinguishable or noticeable so that you could lock onto. And as you bend 2 corners, sometimes you even get off the highway where you're not getting off. You even bend a right in a local street that you're not even supposed to be going down. But you just do that to see if they're going to bend that corner with you. And, you know, then they got it where they might have 2 cars follow you or 3 cars. So when you turn off one, keep going, and another one pick you up. You know, you got to be on the lookout for all this. If this is how you want to live your life, get off the porch and go on the street. I'm telling you, this is not how you want to live your life. I lived my life like this, man. Made it to the top of the food chain. Sold 25 kilos a day of crack cocaine, allegedly, in New York City. You know what I mean? And that's not talking about what was shipped out of state. Had 30 cars, had all the women, $1 million club. I had it all. I was on top of the world, just like Durk. And then it all comes crashing down. And that's when you get to see what you're made of. And I know Lil Durk is made from the cloth of his father, so that's not even a question. Let's just put our prayers out, you know, to the victims in this and the ones that's caught up in this as well, such as Lil Durk and his 5 comrades, because these is our soldiers that was lost. Lil Durk's father sat away from him for 30 years, bowed down 5 times a day to put his head to the floor, to ask Allah to bring him home to his son. And Allah did that. And then he came home to the loss of one son. And then now the capture of another. If you can't emphasize and have any type of empathy towards what Big Durk is going through as a man that just did 30 years to come home to be with his son, that navigated through the dark to made it to the top to get the bag, but now he just need the guidance and wisdom on how to control the bag and how to move forward with the bag. All right? And now he's here, and then now his son has been captured. Let's go.
By the time Quando and Lil Pab pulled into the gas station, the second vehicle was closing in, and everything was set for the ambush. As they parked, that white sedan that had been following them pulled in close, creeping up just enough for its passengers to get a clear line of sight. And in an instant, the calmness of that sunny afternoon was shattered.
Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say shot at a Savannah rapper, killing a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras captured the aftermath.
As shots rang out and chaos erupted, the black SUV became the center of a tragic, gut-wrenching scene. The air was filled with panic, and within moments, it was clear the ambush had left someone critically hurt. Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pab, was hit, but the full weight of what had just happened didn't hit Quando until later on. Caught on camera, the haunting audio of Quando's screams went viral in the hours that followed. His voice is filled with absolute devastation, echoing through the chaotic scene as he realizes his cousin wasn't gonna make it.
The ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV.
Could you imagine that scream? Right, let's ride. That's like when I was in Atwater, California, I think 2008, when an officer got unalived. You had the deuces go off. That's the duress button. That's the whoop, 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 whoop on the walkie-talkie. When that went off, the police know to lock everybody in, and all the inmates know to go get their ice, jump in the shower real quick, whatever they need to do, because they don't know how long they're going to be locked in. So now when this went off and it was locking the doors, it was this female that came to lock me in, a European female, real nice young lady. She came to lock me in, was going along the line, and just when she got to my door, I heard a scream like I've never heard before that haunted me in that prison cell for well over a year. It was a black sister that witnessed the officer getting unalive and getting hit with a homemade joint. As Banky Pound says, you know, that Bethlehem, 36 times. This woman never even seen a stabbing one time. To witness 36 times. She screamed so loud it came through the speakers and hit my bones and made me quiver from her scream. So I could imagine what that scream felt like with Quando Rondo when he realized that Lil Pap was not going to make it. Rest in peace again to Lil Pap.
For Quando, this wasn't just a loss, it was a moment of public grief, a rare glimpse into the pain that artists like himself carry behind the scenes. It's that scream, filled with shock, disbelief, and grief that made the story hit even harder, a reminder of how real and dangerous these conflicts can get. After the shots went off and Lil Pab was hit, police were called, and within minutes, the area was swarming with law enforcement and first responders. The gas station near the Beverly Center quickly transformed into a crime scene, with officers blocking off the area, trying to make sense of the chaotic scene. Paramedics rushed to treat Lil Pab, but it was clear his injuries were severe. Despite their efforts, he succumbed to his wounds right there on the spot, under the police lights right at the gas station, as his cousin Quando Rondo watched him pass away in shock. Quando, still being shaken up from the shock, could hardly process what had just happened. He was visibly distraught, pacing back and forth, his screams echoing across the lot, captured on cameras and phones by bystanders. Those screams would go viral, symbolizing the raw pain of a moment that could not be hidden or controlled, a heartbreaking reaction to losing someone so close so suddenly. The police, meanwhile, were already piecing together what little information they had. Witnesses reported seeing a white sedan speed off right after the shooting, leading investigators to believe this was a planned, targeted hit. This wasn't some random act of violence. It had all the signs of a calculated attack. The tragic moment left the hip-hop community stunned and mourning yet another loss in an ongoing cycle of violence. But that night was only the beginning. Law enforcement would dig deeper into the case, linking it to a broader network of rivalries and conflicts. And now with the federal indictment connecting Lil Pab's death to an alleged murder for hire plot involving Lil Durk's OTF crew, this tragic story has taken on even darker layers. According to prosecutors, Lil Durk is the man behind what they're calling a calculated murder for hire plot. Allegedly,
Yo, that's a serious charge to have in America. That joint carries the death penalty, so you know. So don't just look at it like Lil Durk locked up. No, they trying to take Lil Durk's life.
orchestrated as revenge for the death of his close friend, King Von. They claimed that Lil Durk, along with several members of his OTF collective, conspired to take down Quando Rondo or someone close to him as payback for Von's tragic loss in 2020. This isn't just a simple feud. They're painting it as an organized, deliberate plan fueled by loyalty, revenge, and a desire to avenge Von's legacy. Prosecutors allege that Durk's crew wasn't just acting out of anger. They were reportedly promised rewards for their loyalty. The indictment describes coded conversations between the alleged conspirators, detailing promises of financial compensation or opportunities in the music industry under OTF. This, they say, gave the men enough motivation to track down Quando's circle in Los Angeles and pull off a hit that would eventually send a message across the rap industry. Prosecutors are building the case around Durk's deep connection to King Von and the idea that Von's death was a major turning point for Durk. They're arguing that Durk saw Von's death as something that couldn't go unanswered. According to the prosecutors, this wasn't just about grief, but about maintaining his reputation and loyalty within his crew and the streets. They claim Durk felt a duty to take action, leading to this organized retaliation plan. A key element of the prosecution's case is that Durk's associates were allegedly promised rewards, whether in the form of money, prestige, or elevated positions within OTF. The indictment mentions coded language used to communicate these promises, hinting at payouts and increased status for anyone who carried out the attack successfully.
Yo, let me say this, right? When they say coded language, right, they just mean anything that they don't understand, they call it coded. So if he was saying simple as, you know, meet me at the jewelry store, I'm getting everybody new watches and new, you know, OTF pendants, you know, because, you know, we get down like that. They'll say, oh, what do they mean get down like that? Lil Durk could be saying we get down like that because y'all hold me down in the studio when we go on tour, wherever. And the feds could say, meaning, you know, they carry out hits like that. You know, it's whoever paints the best picture is what I've been trying to tell you when it comes to the prosecution and the defense. So it's real easy. Let's ride. It's real easy, right? It's real easy for the feds to try and make the case to put it on Lil Durk because they know the street code and they know the government code. Meaning when they're in wars and they overseas, if something happens to one of their comrades, they make sure that they get their revenge. So they feel as though, being that King Von died basically from the fight with Quando Rondo, that therefore that Lil Durk is mandatory that he goes after him based on street code. So therefore they're gonna make the case based on street code fit Lil Durk. Whether Lil Durk had something to do with it or not, that's why we say this is allegedly, and that's why you let this play out in a court of law. So now it's real easy because all they got to do is put it together and say, yeah, you know, they gangbangers, Durk's father's original gangster. He came from that cloth where you avenge your comrade. So therefore his comrade was killed. He feel it was behind Quando Rondo and that he had a hand in it, So therefore, you know, they went after Quando Rondo, is how the government is saying it, you know, and that's what they're going to paint to a juror's own peer. But that don't mean that he did it. That just means that's the script that they're writing to submit to the jury to take this young man's life from him. That's why I say don't get involved in the street. Don't go out there because you don't want to get caught up in these fictitious scripts that they put together because they know what the street code is and how you're supposed to react. And if you don't react in that manner, then they're going to put together a script to say you did react in that manner. So it makes you sit back and say, do I respond in that manner? Because they're coming at me for it anyway. You know, just let you know what it is, man. All right, let's go.
Prosecutors argue this incentivized Durk's crew to go to extreme lengths, planning and executing an ambush with the expectation that their loyalty would eventually pay off. The prosecution alleges that the attack wasn't spontaneous. It was a result of deliberate planning. Members of OTF are accused of traveling from Chicago to Los Angeles with a mission, which was following Quando Rondo's movements and waiting for the right moment to strike. The hit itself, they claim, was executed in a way that aligns with a classic murder-for-hire operation, with members tracking Rondo's SUV, waiting for him and his crew to be in a vulnerable position before launching the attack.
You see what they said? A classic murder-for-hire. So all they doing is putting together a classic script that fits Lil Durk for murder-for-hire. Whether he did it or not, they feel that this is the way it was supposed to be played out based on the street code. So we're going to insert Lil Durk in it and make him the classic figure in this Unalivened. But don't go for everything you hear. Sit back and stop listening to these YouTubers. I've seen all types of stuff, dude, ranting about sliding and all this. Come on, dog. We don't do that. Not at the Mecca.
Court documents reveal that after the incident, the OTF members stopped at an In-N-Out where they discussed payments with one of the top OTF associates.
They stopped at a burger joint to discuss payment. That couldn't wait until they met up back in Chi-Town. I need to see the text on that.
Before heading back to San Diego to catch flights back home. Records show that there was a payment exchange that happened as a reward for the murder. Now, the most important part in all this is that they're saying that Lil Durk is the mastermind behind everything. He was the one who provided funds for flights, ensuring his associates could travel from Chicago to Los Angeles, and according to court documents, Durk allegedly arranged for OTF members to make this trip. So they were operating based on what he told them to do as the head honcho. Durk's top associate, Keon Grant, reportedly coordinated logistics on the ground, but Durk is said to have provided the financial resources and guidance needed for the ambush. Keon Grant arranged hotel accommodations, bought ski masks to conceal identities, and obtained 2 luxury sedans for the group. Court documents indicate that Grant was also the one who supplied firearms, including one reportedly converted into a fully automatic weapon, all of which prosecutors argue was facilitated under Durk's orders. I think you probably at this point understand why this is so bad for Durk. These aren't just accusations of association or indirect involvement. Prosecutors are painting him as the mastermind behind a deadly, premeditated act. He's being accused of financially and logistically supporting a murder-for-hire scheme that targeted a rival, going as far as to cover travel costs, conceal identities, and provide weapons for the attack. This is some serious stuff right here. And if the court accepts this narrative, it elevates his role in the case to the one who's going to carry the full responsibility for organizing a violent conspiracy with potential penalties, including life in prison or even death penalty, if the court finds sufficient evidence of intent. Moreover,
you heard that? Even the death penalty, if the court finds sufficient.
The case is built around digital communications, flight records, and surveillance footage, evidence types that can be compelling in court. Prosecutors are likely betting that one of Durk's associates could flip, testifying to strengthen their case even more. If any of the co-conspirators cooperate with authorities, it could seal the case against them, making the charges even harder to fight. Now, one of the things that's a little bit ironic about this entire situation is the fact that for the past 2 years, Lil Durk has publicly been working on cleaning up his image. After years of being tied to the street life, he's tried to turn over a new leaf. For anyone who doesn't know, Lil Durk has not only embraced Islam, but even went as far as converting, changing his name to Mustafa Abdul Malik. So he's definitely been on a journey of rebranding himself. On top of this, he's done community service and launched the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation to support underprivileged youth. And
You see, that's what happened since his father's been home. His father came home to tighten up his son, to give him the jewels that he learned along his 30-year journey in the feds, and after leading in the same manner that they accusing Lil Durk of leading in. So now we have to guide our babies, even though we was taken away from our babies. Like they said, it's never too late, man. It's never too late, man. You know, I emphasize for Durk's father.
this shift didn't go unnoticed. He was even awarded an honorary key to the city in his hometown suburb of Broadway, Illinois.
Durk Banks, or Lil Durk, was honored and celebrated last week with keys to the villages of Bellwood and Broadview.
And so on behalf of the village of Broadview, we are honored to present this key to the city to Durk Banks Neighborhood Heroes.
And this was
How do you think they feel right now that they gave him that and then the feds came in? And you know they wouldn't have did that if they would have known what the feds was plotting the whole time. That's how serious this is. The feds tell no one they plot. They just go after who they going after and do what they need to do. Once the feds is moving, that's how they move. They get on you. They don't give you a break. They grab onto your ankles like little pit bulls and they shake you and shake you and shake you until they got you in a cell. And that's what we're trying to prevent. So you understand over here at Unique Mecca Audio.
literally last week. Local leaders praised his efforts to give back and promote positive change, holding him up as an example of redemption. Fun fact, they ended up revoking the key after this indictment. Lil Durk a few weeks ago also announced that his criminal record was recently wiped clean. Now, could all this be a defensive move on his end? Because
Now you heard that his criminal record has been wiped clean, but yet here it is a week later the feds dropped this indictment. That means that the feds didn't let the state know what was going on, because the governor, whoever it was that signed off to wipe his slate clean, would have never did it. But this is how the feds play, because when they come, they're coming to get you. Check out the previous videos that I have on this channel. Share these videos. You're not going to get these jewels anywhere else. Let's go. Let's take advantage of this. Let's get this word out, all right?
when someone is involved in something like this, especially someone with Lil Durk's influence and public presence, it's important to consider how them reshaping their image can help them if legal troubles come their way. Durk's public shift to a more positive, community-focused persona, receiving the key to the city, doing charity work, and his spiritual growth all adds layers to his defense if anything would happen. Like in his case, it sends a message that he's moving away from his past, showing the authorities that he's more serious about changing and leaving his past behind. And maybe for Lil Durk, it wasn't so much about completely avoiding any legal troubles, but maybe he did all this as a way to soften the blow of whatever he did. That's of course me just speculating, but thinking about it logically, it does make sense. Because best believe someone with Lil Durk's status understands the power of public opinion and how it can sway narratives. By portraying himself as a reformed individual, he builds a layer of protection, influencing how people view him and possibly impacting how authorities handle him. The question still remains though, whether this rebranding was a genuine evolution or a strategic buffer given his history. Personally, I don't think this is going to end too well for him. If they actually have recordings or solid evidence of Durk orchestrating a murder, the defense options are limited. When it comes to cases involving premeditated murder, especially with the added weight of conspiracy or organized crime, the sentencing gets really serious. People facing charges like this typically don't get lenient treatment. The legal system often comes down hard, and with someone of his profile, authorities will likely pursue the maximum just to make an example out of him. Durk might be looking at significant time unless his legal team finds a way to poke holes in the prosecution's evidence or challenges the credibility of any witnesses against them. And in high-profile cases like this, even if they don't have direct evidence, the cumulative weight of circumstantial and digital proof can still lead to heavy consequences. Overall, it's really sad to see millionaire rappers still getting involved in situations like this. With the opportunities and success someone like Lil Durk has achieved, you'd think he'd be able to fully separate himself from that lifestyle. But as you guys can see, even with fame, money, and all the chances to make a positive impact in this world, it's clear that he's still stuck on the streets. I'm really curious how this is going to end for him, and it'll definitely take some time for this to get resolved. Anyway, this Lil Durk.
Yeah, so that's where we at, man, just so you understand. Lil Durk is there. He came a long way, and that's what we have to understand, that he came a long way, and this is no joke what they're charging him with. And that's why we have to sit here and represent our babies, because if we don't, I don't know who will, you know? Listen, man, to all your youngins out there listening, all this that y'all are beefing with each other, fighting with each other, when you wind up in the feds, they're gonna wind up putting you in a jail where it's only a handful of y'all from your state or your neighborhood. So you're gonna have no choice but to put the beefs aside and start fighting for each other when you've been incarcerated for trying to unalive each other. And now you're in prison, and now you're fighting to keep each other alive. Somebody make that make sense to me. You can't tell me that that makes sense in any language, in any culture. You try and unalive each other on the street, then you go to prison, get a life sentence for trying to unalive each other, and while you're in prison, now you have to go back to back with your ops, as you call them on your street, which now is your comrades in the prison streets, because they're all you got. Can't get no more deeper than this, man. If you subscribe, hit the notification button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and you already know Cash App is on the screen. Make sure you hit the icon that say it was created in 2020. Now I'm out of here. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in hall. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, you we got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours, so we can give back to the